Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Interesting Ideas, a program that's designed to help you be more interesting because you'll meet some interesting people, perhaps find some interesting ideas, and perhaps even come up with a few of your own good ideas that you will share with others. You see, good ideas, can lead to greater insight about the world we live in, and that can lead to greater influence in the marketplace that you have to make your mark in. It could lead to greater impact that you make with your life and your business and the things that you talk about. And then income could come to you. And income is not just money, though that helps for sure, but it could be an income in reputation, in relationships, in good things that come to people who have good ideas and treat people well. That's what the program is all about, and I'm Stan the Radio Man, which is kind of a new little moniker that came in my description with the young man. He said, "Well, what are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of like Stan, I do radio." "Oh, Stan the Radio Man." Well, I'm going to take it for a while. Stan the Radio Man, and I've been at this for 45 plus years. So that, of course, dates me, but it also means I've done a lot of radio and hundreds, maybe thousands of different radio programs and many promos and commercials, and that's why I can help you be on the radio. I know what I'm doing, and I'm pretty good at it, and if you want to do a podcast, if you want to produce something that you will put on the internet, I can help you do just that. I'm the Radio Man. Hey, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yes, this is a birthday day to an organization which has, and we talk a lot about transformation. Literally, this is the birthday of an organization that has transformed and perhaps saved the lives of millions of people. And we try and do a transformation program at least once a week. And we did one on Thursday, which was a bit of a transformation program about the D-Day celebration or commemoration, because it was both. So we did that, but then I realized that today needs a transformation program, because here is the deal. This is Monday, the 10th of June, and we celebrate Founders Day. Today is the birth of AA and the 12-step movement. On June 10th, in 1935, Bill W. managed to stay sober while connecting with another struggling alcoholic, and the vision of AA was born out of the need to seek out help from others and find a greater power than ourselves to save us. Well, here's also a very personal reflection. Many of the principles that have shaped AA were influenced by one of my heroes. Now, I never met the man. I read a lot of his books that helped me with performance coaching, and his name was Reverend Samuel Shoemaker, who was the rector of Calvary Church in New York City from 1925 to 1952. And it was the Reverend Shoemaker who had a tremendous influence on the life of Bill W. and Dr. Bob and many of the early members of AA. Now, of course, AA has done just exactly that. Now, like any organization doing good, somebody will take pot shots at it, and there will be a variety of addiction or attachment programs that will say, well, we're better than AA, or we're different than AA, or we don't deal with that spiritual stuff like AA. Fine. More power to them. Anything that helps people get better and get rid of their addiction and attachments And if it does it well, and if it does it in good faith, and it doesn't rip them off of millions or thousands of dollars, good for them. But here's the deal. There are millions of people who are alive today and lived for a great longer life because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it still is doing that kind of work today. So we say happy birthday to them. And there's a good chance that there's members of AA who are listening to this program. And perhaps you know of people who they proudly tell you, yeah, I'm not anonymous. I'll admit it. I couldn't make it without AA, or I couldn't have made it without AA. Now, I have a rather personal story I'd like to share with you just about that. And I think this may give you some idea of just what it can mean. A number of years ago, there was a gentleman who I read. It was a book that really struck me. And then I listened to some of his programs, and I discovered that this man was quite a incredible character. And he was not only a writer, but he was a speaker. And so, oh, good. And so I was in charge of putting together a conference at our church in Minneapolis. And I contacted him, and through either one of his associates, because he had a kind of a worldwide, at least a United States-wide reputation. And we came to an agreement that he would come to Minneapolis and he would deliver a series of lectures and presentations at our church. And I was thrilled by that opportunity. And so I looked forward to that. Well, the day came when his associate said that he would be at the Minneapolis airport and he would be arriving on this particular flight. And so I was there and waiting, and sure enough, he came. And I'm not necessarily going to use his name, but if you want to know more about it, contact me. He has since passed on, but his story is one that I'm sure he would be okay with, but, you know, I preserve reputations, if possible. And so we were driving from the airport to his hotel, and he looked at me and said, hey, do you know anybody in your church, or do you know anybody who's in AA? And I looked at him and said, well, yes, I do. In fact, one of my best friends was in AA. And he had been transformed totally. And he had a wonderful lesson for me. And he said, Stan, and he said, by the way, I'm still an addict. And I said, you are? He said, absolutely. I'm still an addict. You know, I was an alcoholic. And I said, I know that, but you're sober. He said, Stan, I'm an alcoholic. He said, what happens, Stan, is in effect, an addict is someone like all of us who has an inordinate attachment to something. And what he taught me was that, you know, we oftentimes put down the addicts, but the word attachment could work just as well. You're just really attached to something. Yeah. He said, I was addicted booze and fast cars and working out. And he said, I'm no longer addicted to alcohol, but fast cars and working out. is still a part of my life. And in fact, it's also helped keep me alive because keeping in shape is part of my treatment. And as you know, Stan, I'm also addicted to telling other drunks about the power of Jesus. I said to my friend, I said, "Oh yeah, I know someone. He's a very good friend of mine." And he said, "Would you give me his name?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I have the right to do that." And he said, "Well, if he is an AA person, I'm pretty sure he'll give you the right." And I said, "Okay, I'll get back to you." And of course I called Chuck, and he said, "Absolutely, of course, that's what we do." And I called him, and he said, "Thank you." He said, "You need to know, I've been sober for many, many years, but I was really bad." He said, "I still remember the day when I was throwing up, just drunk out of my mind, in a gutter, on a street in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And a woman with a young child happened upon me, and she screamed in horror and made the little girl not look and ran off." And he said, "I still remember that picture. I still remember that." And he said, "By God's grace and AA, I'm a sober man. But you know what? I never know when I might need help, when I might need to make a phone call. I might need to ask someone to come right now, even at 3 o'clock in the morning, and stop me or help me." And so thank you for giving me Chuck's name. That's good. Well, he didn't need it. He did, however, meet Chuck, because Chuck came to the meetings. And of course, they embraced, and obviously they had so much in common. And hey, this is the birthday of Alcoholics Anonymous. And by the way, the 12-step movement is a recipe for good living, whether you are an alcoholic or an addict or not. And of course, it begins with principle number 1. It is the realization that I cannot get out of the mess I'm in by myself. I need help. Now, that is principle number 1 for anybody who's smart. I can't get out of the mess I'm in without help. And part of that help, as the AA would say, is you have to find a power beyond yourselves in order to do that. And I celebrate that. And I had another similar incident. And very simply, I was working with a woman who had an incredible financial services practice, one of the best. And she told me a little bit about her life. She'd had a rough life and was divorced and a number of things. And she also said that she had recently found that her son, who had been an alcoholic and really had a drinking problem, had found some help. And she said, "Could I just send him to you, because now that he's getting sober, he could use a lot of the stuff you talk about." And so I agreed to take the young man. I didn't charge him anything. I just said, "Fine, I'll be glad to help you." And he was so grateful as we put together kind of a life plan now that he was sober. And one day he called me up and said, "I have a present for you. I have a present for you." And I said, "Well, yeah, you don't have to do that." "Oh, no, this is very important, Stan. So would you meet me?" And we met for coffee. And he had a little package wrapped up, and he said, "Here it is. Open it." And I opened it up, and he said, "I couldn't think of a better present than the Blue Book." Now, those of you in AA know what I'm talking about. The Blue Book. It's the book of the principles. And he said, "Stan, you helped me not only to understand better the AA principles, but how to put them into practice. And I'm so grateful for you. I just want you to know that I wanted you to, maybe you have one, but I wanted you to know that you got one from me. And then he signed it and said, thank you for all you've done to keep me strong and to keep me sober. And that's my AA story. I've been very fortunate. I've never had a drinking problem, probably never will, but who knows what might happen. But those two stories have convinced me that what my hero Sam Shoemaker did at a church that I'm very familiar with, because now my daughter in New York City has found help at that very same church. Not for alcoholism, but just for her life in New York and her spiritual life in the midst of difficulties. Calvary Church in New York City. And it is very much the legacy of Dr. Sam Shoemaker. He was the one who gave spiritual guidance both to Bill W. and Dr. Bob. So happy birthday to all of you who are living in the power and are in the power of the fellowship of AA. Celebrate today, and you know how to celebrate and how not to. But I wish you all the best and blessings on your sobriety. And may it go well with you on this birthday day. I'm Stan Husted, Stan the Radio Man. Reach out to me at stanhusted@gmail.com, stanhusted@gmail.com. Best and blessings to us all. Bye for now.